Welcome, guys. This is Daniel Faust, one of your hosts for War Hero to Superhero. And this week we are going into the Superhero Sanctum. In the 5th week of the month, which is crazy, we only get a few of those, we actually jump into the Superhero Sanctum. We look for military veterans and first responders that bring advanced superhero tactics to your life in the bedroom, living room, and boardroom. And we have an awesome guest that I got referred to is Command Sergeant Major retired Reggie Daniel Sr. He had 32 years in the Army, got up to E9, going over all around the world, working with very influential people and just making waves, not just in the war room, but in the bedroom and the living room with his marriage and family. So thank you for joining me, Sergeant Major Daniel.
Hey, such an honor to be here today.
Yeah, thank you. And we just want to dive into the questions. Anybody that's listening live, as you're going and watching, go hit the like button, go hit the share button, go hit the comments. And if you're watching live on TV, go get back with us on warhero2superhero.tv, or you can get directly back with us at Learn and Live. So we want to get into your war hero story first. Like, how long did you serve, as we talked about, and how did you go over and make that transformation from war hero to superhero?
Daniel, I was trying to look on your to see where the live was coming on at. I didn't see it come on yet, but I'll go ahead and get started, and you can let me know how to get that done. I mean, I ain't got all this technology stuff down. I've been at a foxhole all my life. So 32 years of military service. I joined the Army in 1979. And most places I go when I do my introduction, I say 1979. Most people say, wow, ooh, like, yep, I got you. Yeah, I came in the Army when President Jimmy Carter was the president. So that kind of, see that? There you go. You went there with that woo. So stayed around for 32 years. I always tell my wife I think I kind of liked it a little bit, but she always tell me that's an understatement. And went from the rank of private E2 straight out of high school. Came in about 3 weeks after school. It wasn't no hesitation. I was gone. Recruiters came and picked me up, and back then they had the old olive drab green sedans, and they picked me up and took me to my first flight ever, leaving up on the airplane for my first time, heading from Orlando, Florida to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and went there to become a 13 Bravo, which is a field artillery guy. I mean, I asked the guy about being able to shoot stuff and doing things like that, and then he told me, yeah, you could be a field artilleryman. So he didn't explain everything, so I'm all happy and excited. So I get back from training and everything, honor graduate, and did all good and everything, but I was angry at the recruiter, and he says, why are you angry at me? I said, well, first of all, you didn't tell me I was going to be in the field all of that time. And he was like, what part of field artillery you don't understand? So, of course, I fell in love with it. And I actually stayed in field artillery for 32 years, shooting cannons down range and trying to protect people, also trying to destroy the enemy so we could protect our own. Went from there to went straight to Germany. Over in Germany, 13 Bravo. Time I got there in October, November. They had one of the biggest field problems, so came straight to Germany. Already missing home, so that was no problem. They took us straight to the field for 30 days straight.
Wow!
So we went out. Of course, we got out there as soon as we got back. Snow everywhere. So we out of there doing training. My first time ever seeing snow.
Oh wow!
So here I was training and everything over in Fort Sill, and over in Germany, and had a good time. I was in a little place called Boosbach, Germany, and I got a chance to learn some German. So ich spreche Sie ein bisschen Deutsch. So, if you hear me speak a little German, that's where I picked it up from, and really enjoyed that trip. Made a Sergeant E5 in 2 years, and that was the assignment there. So I was moving quite fast. That's what kind of gave me the boost of knowing that I wanted to stay around the Army a little while, because if you did good, the Army promoted you. There's no doubt, they did that. So went from there to Fort Lewis, over in Washington State, Seattle area. Really enjoyed that. And before I left there, bam, I was on the staff sergeant list within 3 years. So within 5 years, I was on the staff sergeant list, and went back from there. And they said, okay, you enjoyed Germany so good, let's send you back to Germany. So went back over to Germany to another place up there. I actually went was a really interesting assignment. I was stationed with some Germans, and we
Mhm.
was actually working with on a nuclear site. So can't tell you too much more about that, but it
Yep.
was fun, and I had a good time. Got there, and just so happened since I was getting ready to make staff sergeant so quick, I made staff sergeant while I was there.
Mhm.
And the E6 E7 that was leaving didn't have nobody to replace, and it was other guys that outranked me, but they wanted me to be in charge,
Oh,
which kind
wow.
of put me ahead of my peers. Took over that, and bam, 2 years later, next thing you know, I'm up for assignment for drill sergeant.
Wow.
So I finished up that, went on drill sergeant duty. Bam, as soon as I got out of drill sergeant school, came up on the E7 list. So within 9 years, here I am, ready to make sergeant first class, E7.
Yeah, you were
Unheard of.
skyrocketing. Wow.
Yeah, I was moving pretty fast. So within about close to 10 years, I had made E7,
Mhm.
finished up my drill sergeant duty, and was moved over to a special assignment. From there, one of my partners asked me, we had just finished drill sergeant, did all the interesting things. He's like, well, hey, man, let's go airborne. I was like, airborne? He said, yeah, go jump out of a plane. I said, man, you crazy. What am I jump out of a perfectly good airplane for? So, I hung up the phone. A couple of days later, I called him back. Hey, is that airborne thing still on? He's like, you want to go? I was like, yeah, sure. So we did the paperwork together. Sure enough, they selected us together. And we went and jumped out of perfectly good airplanes, as sergeant first class. Kind of like you want to do that while you're younger, but,
Yeah,
we waited a little while. So ended up in the 82nd Airborne after that. Of course, you didn't have no choice then. You got to go jump out some planes.
you sure do.
And yeah, we had a good time. Did quite a few jumps. Uh, did something that most people don't do that quick within like less than 2 years. I was a
Mhm.
jump master, so I had
Wow.
went through jump master school to put people out. And then I always liked about that because that soldier's always looking you in your eyes, coming to get ready to jump out that plane. And I always gave like a briefing right before, and I said, "Hey, look, on my plane, there's no refusals. So everybody who get on here gonna jump. So if you plan on refusing, you need to leave now." So nobody ever left.
I would have
But
left.
y'all, oh yeah, you always had a couple of guys that want to get up there and want to, give you that look like I don't want to jump. I was like, oh no, you gone. So boom, spank them on that button, send them on out the plane. So that was a great time. Got called for a special assignment by Department of the Army to do to teach ROTC
Oh,
at a
wow.
university. That was really really interesting up in Moorhead, Kentucky.
Mhm.
Went to Moorhead, Kentucky, and enjoyed that. Had a great time there. Stayed at Fort Bragg about 4 years. So that gave me right out about 13 years, 14 years. Then bam, I was uh, at the university for about another 3 years. So about 17 years, I got selected for Sergeant Major Academy.
All right.
So of
Awesome.
course, moving fast and everything. 18 years, bam, heading to the academy, and that went good. And from there, it was just all I had to do was just wait. I had to do a couple more assignments as an operations sergeant major and do the first sergeant again, and then got selected straight from first sergeant. Normally, you go to sergeant major. I went straight from first sergeant to command sergeant major.
Okay.
So that was pretty neat. My colonel, my general, who's promoted me, had never did that before. So that was pretty unique in itself. From there, got a chance to. I took the assignment. I was heading to Fort Hood, Texas, but
Mhm.
I was in a division that was they had we already had soldiers in Fort Benning. We had soldiers at Fort Stewart, where I was located at, and one of my sergeant majors got ready to retire from higher, and he said, "Hey, okay, do you want to stay here? We can keep you here." So we keep you here. You either go to one of the units right here in town, or you'll
Mhm.
go to Fort Benning. Either way, you'll be the command sergeant major of one of the unit. Of course,
Mhm.
I'm already training with them. I want to stay where I'm at.
Yeah, makes
Plus,
sense.
it was only the first time I was close to home in Florida, and my mom and sisters and everybody could come see me. So that was really nice.
That's
And
awesome.
so took that assignment and ended up being the one that, of course, I had to move again. I was moving every 2 to 3 years. I was moving for those 32 years.
Mhm.
Moved there and took that assignment and said the only catch on that is these soldiers are already over in Kuwait. So
Mhm.
you'll take the assignment and you're going to fly alone. You'll be flying with a couple of more soldiers that are going to Kuwait. So I went straight to Kuwait, did the changeover over there. So as I was doing my incoming speech, the war hadn't been announced or nothing. We were just training, doing regular training. For some reason, I guess God put in my heart that I was going to be going to war. So I'm saying to myself, I said, wow. So I put in my speech as I was writing it, and I told the soldier, I say, well, I'm glad to be on board. I need to tell y'all something. It's been put in my heart that we'll be going to war. So be prepared to roll out. So as soon as I said that, the soldiers, I didn't know, I guess there was a new song out called Roll Out, Roll Out. So I did that. And then the soldiers beginning to sing that at the end. And the colonel looked at me and I'm looking at him. He's like, why did you make him sing that? I was like, sir, I don't have no idea what you're talking about. All I did was tell him he's going to be prepared to roll out the war. That's exactly what I was talking about. So I ended up getting in trouble, my first day at work, but it was okay. So we left there after being there about 6 months, coming back to the U.S. And that's when the president announced that he was going to be sending the troops to war. Well, we was the soldiers that just had came back from Kuwait. So we got back 1 month later, got a break with the family. Bam, he had us back on the plane we was back by October, November, December. End of December, we started loading up. In January, on my birthday, I was over in back getting ready to head to Iraq.
Was that 2001 time frame, or is that in
the
the 90s?
That was 2002, 2003, we headed back over.
Oh, okay.
In 2003, we did of course, the invasion. So we was over in Kuwait a couple of more months before we even headed out in March.
That's crazy. Yeah. Like you literally just 9/11 happens, boom, and he was executing so quick during that time. And you're like,
I was at
getting selected.
I was actually at when I come out of school, I was actually at a unit when the 9/11 happened. Ooh. So that was crazy in itself. We was taking a shower. I was in there, had my little old bitty TV, the old school TV, looking, and I hear my commander hollered, "Hey, First Sergeant!" First Sergeant, I was like, "What did he want?" He's like, "Did you see the news?" And I'm looking back, and I look at the news. Sure enough, the second plane, I guess, was getting ready to hit. Boom, in there. I was like, "I sure do." And he's like, "That's live." And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" So of course, we assembled the soldiers. We had took a shower. They came back and got them information and told them, "Your whole life and your whole career just changed now. You're gonna be around here. We about to go to war."
Yeah.
And sure enough, of course, all kind of stuff happened in between that. But we did. We ended up being over there and doing all kind of good stuff. But we took care of matters the right way. So it was truly honored to be there.
Well, that's really awesome. So you got out in about 2011, 2012 then?
2011 is when I got out after going into combat and doing a couple other things after that.
Yeah, so that's an amazing career to go over and just skyrocket through the ranks, go over and support your troops and everything else. And then, but the thing we're going to be talking about today as a superhero sanctum guest is we're going to talk more about your how did you balance everything. So as a military and veteran dad, how did you balance the transition each day from the bedroom with your wife and your kids, and then also jumping back and forth from the boardroom to the war room, deployments and everything else? How did you keep that going over and thriving so long?
My thing was, first of all, I had went through a divorce. So I was single basically when I was going through the last portion of my my career. What I ended up doing, I had my boys. My boys is grown. So I had two sons come in the military, which was a great deal. I'm gonna talk more of that about on a couple of questions you're gonna be answering. But that really took me to another level of focusing more in the military. My thing with them is what I had to communicate with my sons, which I love my sons to death. So we never missed a beat for us, that part. I had to go back and forth wherever they were to communicate with them, surprising them at games and doing stuff like that. The biggest portion on that was to make sure the boys understand, why I couldn't be with them as much, to be in the military and doing the things that I was doing. But I kept it flowing by talking to them and showing them the things that are good. Like during the summer, I would always have my son with me. When I was a drill sergeant, my son still remember riding in my rucksack running down with the soldiers going down the road. The other one running beside me and stuff. Getting Fort Stewart, even as a master sergeant coming out of the school. My son, 14 years old, 13, 14, got my little nephew with him. So him and his cousin together. I went out on a run. We supposed to went 3 miles. My son at 14 ran 8 miles with my unit. They did not stop. I mean, they were just happy to see us singing and going along. Of course, my son and my nephew was leaving some of the soldiers behind. So already then, I know and my son there, he was my youngest. He ended up going to college, playing college football up in Tennessee, and ended up winning a little championship, what they was doing in a small college. But he did really well. And of course, I was very proud of him too. And then my other sons, I had one son come in the National Guard, and he was up on the Signal Corps. He's now a master sergeant, first sergeant, master sergeant over in Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
So right now he's still going at it. And then my other son who came in, he was on the Signal too. He's in the 25 series in the computers, doing all that good stuff. He ended up getting out after about 4 years. His wife was still in the service when he got out. And he had my first grandson. So he come in. So that was great. And that was another Reggie to add to the batch. His name was Reginald James Daniels, and his son's name Reginald James Daniels Jr. So another Reggie to go in the bunch.
There you go.
And then my fourth son, which is named Reggie Jr., he ended up going to Savannah State University playing football also. So I had 2 boys that play football, 2 sons to go into the military, and all of them are doing quite well right now. My one son who went in and got out, he's a truck driver now up in San Antonio, Texas, doing quite well with my 2 grandsons. Got a granddaughter too, and his wife up there with another son too, just doing very well. Reggie Jr. is up in Ohio. He's doing quite well. He's a songwriter. He's doing some things up in Cincinnati, outside of Cincinnati area. And then my son Rodney is a fitness trainer. After doing the football, he also played a little semi-pro. And then he went into the fitness world of what his degree was for. So he's doing quite well. He runs about 18 gyms for the LA Fitness.
Wow.
So really, really good. So my thing was just to keep connection with them, to see them grow, show them things that I was doing to make sure they stay connected. So it worked quite well.
That's awesome. And then with transitioning that with parenting, what tactics did you learn in the military that you could apply in your marriage or even in the living room with your boys? What did you go over and take from the military and actually bring it home that worked worthwhile?
So my big thing on that was to be able to, and I even started that like in basic training. Like I told you, I had my sons there. I would bring them to show them what I'm doing with the soldiers, but also talking to the soldiers on the other side of telling them what I'm doing with my family. One of the things that my soldiers really liked when I was training them, that they seen my sons and stuff there, and I was teaching them about discipline at the same time. So like they see the soldiers get down and do push-ups, they wanted to do push-ups. They see the soldiers wanted to run, they wanted to run. They were small, really didn't understand everything, but it really did help. Then I was a straightforward type person, hard as hell. I mean, excuse my French, but I was the type of guy. I mean, I look in the mirror, scare myself. You know what I'm saying? I was pretty hard as a drill sergeant, and I was hard on the guys, but I taught them to be good soldiers and good gentlemen, good men. So I was really proud of that, and I still got contact from guys. I taught them basic training. Matter of fact, what was you doing in 1988?
7.
So I was teaching soldiers in 1988 on getting ready for combat and how to be artillerymen to go out and fight. So 88 to 90, I was doing that, and then that's how I kept connected. I brought it, whatever my discipline was teaching me that, I was able to be able to take it home and then use that firm type of stuff there. You know, even the smaller things like a things to do list, because in order to get all that training done, you had to have a list done to be able to get that stuff done. So that's the kind of stuff I did.
That's really cool. Just taking the job and bringing it home so you can
Oh,
go
yes.
over and succinctly balance that because, so in that, with all your 4 kids and everything else, tell me your proudest moment as a military and veteran dad. What made you really proud as you were raising your kids?
So one of the biggest things was, I already said it earlier, but my son's coming in the Army. I mean, that was really a big thing for me. I mean, to have one son come in, then to have another one. I mean, and both of them had served in junior ROTC. One of them had said he basically wasn't going to be in. Of course, you know who that is. That's the master now. He done made it up there to the top. He's doing quite well. He got one more rank to make, and I think he's going to make it. I'm pretty sure he will make it. He's doing quite well over in Saudi Arabia. And to see both of them come in, to be able to go, went to see the second son as he came in, went to see him at training and stuff. My oldest son got a chance to actually literally promote him to first sergeant, master sergeant, to E8.
Awesome.
To me, that kind of said it. That did a big thing. I mean, to hear him speak, and start talking about some of the stuff that we had talked about, him being an individual and him bringing up doing his promotion. It's like, hey, I know my dad probably don't know this, but he was one of my big inspirations. And I definitely remember him, how he was treating soldiers and how he was doing with families. And that's why I treat you guys like that. And I think that's pretty good because he showed me the right way to do that. I mean, that hit me really hard. That was a very proud moment for me. And I told him about that too, because that really touched me. That means he was listening even when he was being hard-headed, he was like, hey, I still got this. I'm listening. So I was really proud of him, really proud to go visit his units to see how he was doing with his soldiers and stuff. And of course, right before he went to over to Saudi, I took all of the family. We all met up down in Fort Hood to see him off. So that was a big moment for him to see all his family there. That's the first time we had ever did that.
That's really awesome.
Do that together, yes.
So parenting has proudest moments, but it also has teachable moments too. So what moments do you have that are teachable moments as a military and vet dad?
My biggest thing was taking care of soldiers. For us, being teachable as their military parent, teaching them basically from the house of how you do stuff and how to relate it to taking care of those soldiers in the same way. I mean, just like you got to get your soldiers to eat and your family to eat, same thing. You got to make sure those soldiers are feeding theirs. I mean, if you're doing certain things and then if you see something wrong, even if it's the wrong side of it, you screaming or hollering and stuff, and you bringing that home to your house, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Because it ain't the same thing as you going to the service. And a lot of things in the military, you don't have to scream at a soldier. If a soldier gonna respect you, they're gonna respect you either way. It's the way that you treat them is how they're gonna treat somebody else. So I was always aware of that, and I try to treat people like people. Don't get it twisted. Now they know if they went the wrong way, I had a way of putting them back in the area. Every soldier was different though. Each soldier you had to treat a different way. They always would tell you that old cliche thing. Well, you treat them all the same way. No, you can't treat them all the same way. That was the old school way of thinking. You can't treat all the soldiers the same way. Now you can give them all the same regulations and the same rules, but each one of them might have a different way of you motivate them to get there. But if you're a good motivator and a good teacher, you're going to get them to do what's got to be done. And it might be in a little different way than the other person get it. Or you might have to motivate them in a different way. Same thing I did at the house, because each one of my sons is definitely different. It was definitely different. I could see them with each other and I see some things I like, but talking to them each separately and just to see, and I'm like, wow, they are totally different. But each one of them got something from me, and I definitely learned something from my sons every day. I appreciate being around them because I get a chance to get some of that freshness, plus some of that new school in me, to be able to talk some slang or whatever with them. But, the most unique thing is my sons, my oldest son is 40. I mean, if you hear him today walk up, going to be sir, no sir. He's gonna always be respectful. My youngest son the same way, and I really appreciate that because it's a lost art out there for kids to do that anymore. To show the respect to parents like that. But I guess it's because of the way that I treat them too. So I try to show them the utmost respect too, and I kind of get it back. So I really appreciate that. So it's a proud moment for me.
I totally agree with that. So transitioning to resources and whatnot, when you were in the military, what resources did the military equip you to thrive in your marriage and family? Was there anything significant or profound that the military taught you or gave you access to thrive in your marriage and family?
I actually liked when I came in and to see how they connected the soldiers, showing them that they can go to their different type of services for the Lord. And I've definitely believe in God and I love the Lord. For me to see that going on, it gave me an opportunity to get even closer to God, to understand that it went hand in hand with what we did. So when I got that, and I did have family, I got a chance to show them that, hey, I'm not just out here shooting rockets, doing all this stuff and shooting guns, but I also get a chance to go to church and do things, even when I'm deployed. I even got a chance to, to give talk a couple of times to the soldiers at church, to give the preacher would call me, hey, Sergeant Major, today is your day. Won't you come and give them and talk some stuff about the Bible and stuff. So it was really unique, especially right before we went to war. And I got a chance to do that, and I was really, really, really thankful to being able to do that. The teammates, I always tell people, you have the teammates. Your teammates are very important, but you got to be careful of who you select as your friend. You can have teammates, and you ain't got to be friends, but you're going to be doing things together. But you don't want to select the wrong person, because some persons could be really good at training and going out to war. Once they get back to the rear, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They could be the biggest troublemaker it is. So you got to watch who your friends are when you're doing stuff like that. I also taught them about being reading, not only the Bible, but reading personal books. Always getting any kind of education the military was offering, you should be taking it. You got a chance to go to college classes. Best thing ever happened to me when I was that young E5 getting ready to make E6. The guy who selected me to be the platoon sergeant gave me some college books and said, hey, look, I'm going to give you an opportunity to do something I didn't do. I took a couple of classes. He said, but you're going to start right now. And he made me go to college. And that was one of the best things, because it was an eye-opener for me. I mean, I did a lot of the Army courses, doing all that stuff, but to be able to start that and it really opened my eyes. And before you know it, I started doing a little bit at a time. It took me a while to get my degrees, but I was in college. And all my reports, as I get reports, it was writing in college class, just made a B, just made an A, It was very important because people looked at you in a different way. They have the education to go along with that. Of course, ended up before I retired with my master's degree, my MBA, graduated with honors, and had a chance to have my 2-year-old at the time was at my graduation. So that was great. That was an honor. My wife, my sister-in-law, and another great friend of mine came to be at that graduation. So those are some of the things that I try to get them to make sure that they understand.
That's really awesome. A couple more questions, then we'll finish out. What resources would you recommend for current and future military families to thrive in all the rooms, the bedroom, living room, and boardroom? What resources would you recommend for them?
One of the first things I say is keep God first. You got to keep God in your life. You got to have some religion, no matter what their religion background is. If that's what they believe, that's what they need to stick with. Mine was Jesus Christ. That's just the way I believe. But I never try to stop a soldier from whatever his belief was. I would tell him about mine if he wanted to hear it. Other than that, I just told him to stick with the belief. All came down to boil down as one person. It was God. So I always told him that. Make sure you take care of your family. If you don't have your mindset right, first of all, to have your religion right and taking care of your family, you're not going to do a good job at work. Now, we had some soldiers, they was odd. they can come in and do all kind of stuff because they was keeping their mind off their family.
Mm-hmm.
You find that out later on because the family is having trouble. They ain't paying bills and stuff like that. But one of the best things I taught them to do is, hey, if you get it right with God, you taking care of your family, you'll come to work and be just as happy because you know they're good. Now you ain't got nothing to worry about. It's one of the reasons why the Army set up bases and posts to make sure, like just like the Air Force. Air Force, of course, y'all used to be number one with all taking care of families and all that. But I think we kind of stepped up on y'all because you ever been out to Fort Hood or out to Fort Bliss out here, they got like you said PXs in the old days. Now we got malls.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Texas Roadhouse, the Dollar Tree on post.
Oh yeah, you guys stepped it up a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, we got movie theaters and stuff like that. So it kind of goes hand in hand with that. I tell them about setting goals. You got to set goals. How you are right now and where you want to be. Not only with you, but with your family, with your kids. I always talk to them about that. Those are the nuggets I try to give them because it's the same things I did with my soldiers, but I got a chance to do with my family. And as I already told you, the history on how things went, it went good because that's the kind of stuff we talked about. Whether they want to follow it in or not, they still heard it from me. And those are the kind of nuggets I gave them. Houses, the cars, the education. I just wanted them to be able to have something different, saving money. I mean, one of the best things the Army started doing during the last part of the first part of the Iraq War, it came up with the TSP and all that, putting money to the side and all that. And time the guy told me, he's like, hey, if you put $10,000 in a account, you're gonna get $1,000 at the end of the year free. They just give you $1,000. Like, oh, for real? Bam! I started that, kept it in there. By the time I got ready to get out of the Army, it was kind of late. But I had $50,000 just on the side saved just in that. Not to talk about my other investments, but to see that, I started teaching the younger soldiers. Before I know it, before I got out, some of them had $50,000, $60,000 of just saving just from that. So that was quite good, and that made me understand better what I needed before I got out, which I was in pretty good shape before I got out.
That's awesome. So let's go into the final question we asked everybody in all our interviews: is that 3 superhero tactics. If you had to either visit yourself back in the day or going over in a young soldier, what tactics would you give them to go over and to thrive?
One is definitely the fitness. I mean, if you really, really, really want to make it in anything, the better shape and the better health you have, the better you're gonna make it in the military. That's not only just in the military. I mean, now, I'm out of the military. I'm still benching 325, 330 on the bench press. It's kind of like unheard of. I mean, in 6 months, I'll be 60 years old. But because of the exercise and stuff and the nutrition that I take, I try to keep myself well, which my wife is a nutritionist. She always saying on me anyway. It really helps me, really keeps me focused to be able to do things. So kind of grateful for that. The other thing I would tell them is the part of saving money. That nugget of saving money, start while you're young. I always tell, I don't care if it's just $50 a month. That adds up pretty good. I mean, I even had like an insurance policy that you save money with also. So it had a savings account. Put it to the side. I was just putting $20 or whatever. Before you know it, they're giving me a call saying, hey, sir, what do you want to do with the money? And I'm like, what you mean? What money? Oh, sir, you had this account. You've been putting money in. Bam. I said, well, how much is in there? Oh, $32,000. $32,000 for real? Well, you started back in the early 80s. So that was just money you put aside. They took so much money for the insurance. After the insurance was paid, they put all of the money in the bank. And at the time, and this was unheard of, they was giving 14%.
Wow.
Yeah, so those kind of days are gone now, but it's still at 5% right now. To be able to do that, they only let you put so much in it. So that's the kind of stuff I got. And then the last one would be, of course, establish where they want to be at for us with family wise. Don't if you haven't made that decision yet, you might want to try to get it really established in the military before you start making a family. because you want to know that you want to be there, and plus you want to be able to understand the stuff that you need to have for your family and to be able to be successful. In most cases, officers, even in the Air Force, they didn't have babies until later on. I mean, they just didn't let nothing mess with the career. And us as enlisted, we had babies, we brought them with us, we did all the stuff. Had I known back then that I would have did it in a whole different way. So that's my last one I would leave them with.
Awesome. Well, thank you much for joining. I wanted to put up this resource you wanted to recommend some. Could you tell me like about a 30-second shot on the Institute of Hope?
Yeah, the Institute of Hope is a organization in El Paso. Lieutenant Colonel Hope is she's the owner, and she managed that facility, and it's for females, homeless females. So I thought that was very unique. Getting ready to go down and make a visit with her, and we are both on the Veterans Administration's advisory board for the city. Awesome. I represent District 4, and I think she got District 3. But what we do is we go out and we work with the homeless veterans to try to get them vouchers, places to stay, money, and stuff like that. And I just started that about a couple of months ago. Of course, with this hitting in, with the COVID hitting in, it kind of slowed things down. But we're still involved. It's like now we got a virtual meeting we're going to be having on that to try to keep things going, to try to help with that. So she runs that organization already, and she's also a volunteer doing other stuff, and she's a real estate agent also. So she's a quite busy lady, but she's a great lady, and she's doing some great things out there for some homeless veterans, especially those females, because as you know, and I was talking to you earlier about, the females don't get a chance to mix in with the males when you come down to shelters. Yeah. So for her to have that facility for them here in El Paso, and the only one here, that's great. And just looking forward to support them. So if you could support them, please use that, www.theinstituteofhope.org. We would greatly appreciate your help.
And there's the phone number too.
The phone number 888-993-9615. Greatly appreciate it. Truly honored to be here.
Yeah, and I wanted to thank you again. We had Command Sergeant Major Reggie Daniel Sr. going over and interviewing on the Superhero Sanctum. Want to thank you for your time. And guys, you'll see him live on our show. You'll see an edited version of this, but if you want to watch the full episode, go watch it on there. But there'll be an edited episode on War Hero to Superhero. So thank you for your time, and you all have a great day.
All right.